Silence or turn them off. We have a special guest with us today who will do the prayer, Pastor Winston Taylor. We're going to ask that Councilman Jackson would lead us in the pledge.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, as we meet tonight to do your work, the work of making people's lives better, the work of fighting injustice, the work of building community, we ask your Spirit's guidance. We ask that you'll help us to lead aright, to care for the unfortunate, to love the unlovable, to treat people well, to use power to lift people out of poverty, to increase education, and to help the city. We ask all these blessings in your name. Amen.
Amen. Everybody can recite with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Taylor, present. Councilman Brooks.
Here.
Councilman Talaferro.
Here, ma'am.
Councilman Butcher.
Here.
Councilman Jackson.
Here.
Councilman Green.
I'm here.
And Councilwoman Bowles.
Present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference meeting Monday, June 12th, 2023, and the city council meeting Tuesday, June 13th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Talaferro. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes with 7.
Thank you. Does any council member have any awards, recognition, or distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes?
Do Mr. Chair, Mr. Tyron Ty Johnson. He's not here.
That's all you have? Okay, Councilman.
The family of Miss Annie Walter, you can come to the podium. I'm gonna ask the clerk to read the resolution, and then I know there was a request to speak, so you can speak after.
A resolution dedicating the 7600 block of Gibson Drive in honor of Annie Mae Walter and otherwise providing with respect thereto. Whereas Annie Mae McCall Whitaker Walter was born on June 13, 1931 and passed away on March 15, 2011 at the age of 79. And whereas Annie was born in DeSoto Parish and around 1948 moved to Caddo Parish. Her mission in life was to serve God through giving service to mankind. And whereas Annie was an avid worker in Christian ministries in church and the community. She provided financial support, food, clothing, mentored and gave aid to youth and young adults. And whereas Annie served on the South Shreveport Voters League, where she encouraged voter registration, set up forums for candidates, passed out flyers to voters to help make informed decisions, and provided transportation to and from the polls. And whereas she was a member of 1,000 Women, where she promoted women in civic and service work. She worked for years in the background, supporting and giving assistance to several organizations, including Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, Top Ladies of Distinction Incorporated, National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and the Links Incorporated. Many times, Annie was dubbed an honorary member by members of the organizations for the dedicated assistance she gave. Whereas Annie provided services to many people in the community and city that went unknown for so many years until it was expressed at her final life celebration by them as they stood to give remarks. And whereas Annie was a member of volunteer grandparent at various schools in Caddo Parish school system, serving as a teacher's aide. And whereas Annie Mae McCall Whitaker Walter was known through her work, and she was loved and respected by her children, Lavada Palms, Shirley Walter Fuller, Levada Palms, Shirley Walter Fuller, Diana Walter, O.C. Whitaker, Early Walter, Rudolph Walter, and friends, city officials, and the community. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due regular and legal session convened that the mayor, on behalf of the city, is authorized to dedicate the 7600 block of Gibson Drive in honor of Annie Mae Walter. Be it further resolved that in accordance with Resolution Number 156 of 2019, the dedication marker should be approximately 9 inches tall and 42 inches wide and should be placed on an existing standard or street sign if the placement is authorized by traffic engineering.
Ms. Palms, you have.
Good
go ahead.
evening. It is with in-depth and heartfelt pleasure that I thank you for the consideration given. I initiated the effort through State Representative, actually, Sam Jenkins, after which contacting Commissioner, where's Ron? Ron Cawthorn, soon to be our next one. And there was a follow-through, and having my siblings and my friends, friends, my mom's eldest sister, Jessie Clark, and her daughter, all of my sorors, some of my Link sisters, previous Jack and Jill members, my daughter, granddaughter, grandson, my sister-in-law, all of my friends. I don't want to be denounced by not having called some names, but we're ingratiated to you for the consideration given. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it. We love, dear, and we appreciate you reciprocating the love by doing this dedication.
Ms. Palms, the honor is definitely all ours. The work your mother has done was needed then, and it's still needed now. So this honor just reminds us that we still have to continue this work and keep her legacy alive. So thank you.
And may I say, first and foremost, Dr. Jackson, you put things in motion for us after we had initiated. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it. I would be definitely remiss not mentioning you for making things happen. Thank you. And Tabitha, you know my mom
Y'all need
loved
to stay
legacy
for-
bags.
Y'all need to come back for the picture.
Okay.
And I still have all of her bags.
Yeah, we know that Tabitha was a collector, as was my mom, so she had the option to receive some of the purses after my mom's
I love 'em. I
demise.
still have them.
Thank you. Think
Thank
of her
you.
when you use them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Haven't seen you in so long. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Do we know something? There you go.
No pleasure. Who? Where is Councilman Butcher? Thank you, Councilman Butcher, because Ron was reaching out to you so we could make proper connections. Thank you so very much.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
My vision is a bit dim. I couldn't see the name placard there.
That's okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is it here? I have one distinguished guest I'd like to recognize, Mr. former Councilman Michael Carbon. Come on up, Mike. You are the man of the hour. Mike, thank you for coming. I just wanted you to come and possibly give an update to the citizens because you just have itching ears and they just like to know what's going on. So the mic is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members, Mayor Arsenault. It's always a pleasure to be here in the chamber with you. It's been a hectic 10 or 11 or whatever it is days. I've kind of lost count. I appreciate all the questions that I've received and being able to share information back and forth freely. For those of you who were able to attend the Homeland Security meetings when that was active, I think that was a very positive conversation, and we were able to talk very freely about the outage situation and be able to pass that information back on to your constituents as well. We thought we were over the hump, and Mother Nature felt differently. So we had a little setback earlier this week, but when I checked right before we came over here in Shreveport, we're down to about 700 outages. Caddo Parish, we have about 900. It looks like that number may even be a little bit high. There's a couple of outages that I think have been cleared, but they're still showing open for some reason on our system. Right now, the largest outage is the area kind of behind Centenary College around Alexander Avenue, a place with a lot of old pecan trees, and there was a lot of wind damage there with the storm that passed through yesterday morning. I can't say thank you enough to the linemen and linewomen that came in and assisted our crews and to our crews that are still out there today. We think back about how long this lasted, and most of our people and the folks that came in from out of town spent Father's Day either working here in Shreveport, Bossier, or on the road in a big bucket truck bouncing down the interstate to come and help us. So a lot of sacrifices were made. We went back and looked at some historical information, and some of you may have seen this. The only other outage we've had in recent history that was this scope in size was an ice storm in year 2000, and it actually was on or around December 15th, 18th. We had one ice storm, and before it all melted, we had another one on Christmas Day. It took 39 days to restore power fully from that ice storm. We saw similar devastation here. We've wrapped it up a lot faster. We had a lot more people own it, and I think we worked a lot more efficiently. So that's where we are today. I think by the end of today, we'll be down to what we call a normal day with outages. We do have additional crews here today assisting from Longview. They were able to come in with 15 different crews, which has certainly helped us out. If you have constituents that have damage to their meter box or their weatherhead, we're not going to be able to connect power till that is repaired by an electrician. And I understand the parish has some funding available to assist with that if somebody needs it. Right now, the weather forecast looks good. So I think we should not see any more storms for the next week at least. We're going to be hopeful of that. Could be a long summer, but we're going to continue to do everything that we do on a daily basis and make sure that we keep the lights on just as much as we can.
Thank you, Mike. I'd just like to thank you and thank you, crew, and all of you all. Every call that I put in to you, you've taken care of all of the constituents for me, and those in my district, and I just want to say thank you. A lot of times we take things for granted and we fail to say thank you, but I just want to say thank you for all that you've done, you all have done, and what you've done.
I will certainly pass that along.
And
Yes.
Mr. Mike, I just want to offer you just a hand clap of praise for you and your team. So I think that's the minimum, we can do, because I definitely appreciate the lights coming back on when they did. So I appreciate that.
Anyone? Yes, sir.
Mike, I just got to say from the hearts of my constituents, and of course all of Shreveport, how much I appreciate you. The emails that you sent out, the information that you pushed out, sometimes it really is a curse being the information officer with any organization, and I know this only too well, but your attention and your response and your dedication to duty is beyond as they say, we cannot thank you enough. We can't thank the linemen enough. We can't thank all those people who actually were working 24/7, with little rest. But we're very appreciative of the information that you pushed out, which allowed us to push out that same information to our constituents and at least keep them in the loop, which I think is paramount in any kind of situation. Them not knowing it creates more, havoc than them knowing the truth. So I do appreciate that. A job well done, my friend. Thank you.
As catastrophic as this storm really was, for all of those linemen to come in and the job that SWEPCO did in the number of days that they did, when we've seen stuff around this nation and how long it has taken, I mean, you all deserve an overwhelming applause for that. The damages that we've seen around the Shreveport community as well as in the parish for the trees, I'm thankful that no one lost their lives as a result of the trees that we have seen that are laying on houses even as we speak at this time. And so I thank you for all of the information that you have provided to us, that you're still providing to us as of today at this time. So again, along with my colleagues, we echo the same sentiments to the linemen that are there, to the SWEPCO team locally and abroad for everything that you all are doing for the Shreveport community and abroad.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
real quick. Councilman, I want to tell you, you and I have talked numerous times, and we have 2 major hospitals in District D, several adult retirement villages and nursing homes, and it was so impressive to me the depth that you, your team, everybody's team, Dale Colvin I've talked to, David Langston, all these different people just put together and got it done. I was out right after the storms hit, went back out the next morning, and just an example, there's a 5-mile road coming to my house with lines going down, and they were like toothpicks that had just been picked up and put down. By that afternoon, when I came back home, you had arborists there getting the lines out of the trees. The next day, you had poles being set, and the next day you had linemen putting new lines up. It's just unheard of that we were able to get this taken care of. And I know anytime it's hot and it's not fun for our constituents, but I could have not asked for better service from SWEPCO in this. So I just want to tell you thank you, tell everybody else at SWEPCO thank you, and of course our city workers that helped get the trees off the lines, and the firemen. I was listening to them that night, all the runs that they were making, and we had firemen actually having to cut their way out of fire stations to get out, and just impressive, and thank you, and thanks to everybody that worked with y'all.
Thank you. And Councilman Busher, you bring up a good point. At one point during this early on, we had 5 major hospitals, including our level 1 trauma center, that were offline. Some of you have heard this from various meetings, but I don't mind saying it again. Once the dust settles on this a little bit and we have a couple weeks to pass by, I'm going to convene a meeting in our business center with some of the hospital healthcare leaders, some of the local elected officials, and begin a discussion about some of these critical facilities that need a Plan B. And that's going to get down to the level of nursing homes and housing for disabled individuals as well, because there's just a lot of places that did not have a Plan B, and it got a little dicey there. But more to come on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Corbin. Thanks for returning a call. At 3:30 a.m.,
when one of the local hospitals didn't have electricity. I appreciate that. All that y'all done, my sentiments are the same. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any awards recognition of distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes?
I do not.
All right. Mr. Mayor, do you have any other communication relative to city business or other awards or recognition of distinguished guests?
Mr. Chairman, I do have some brief remarks regarding the storm, and I'm going to read them so I don't,
Yes, sir. The
don't
mic
go
is-
very far from the script.
Your mic is yours.
The June 16 storm event and its aftermath created trying times for our citizens and the need for many city departments to respond effectively. Our employees responded extremely well to the challenges we faced. This is especially true when we recognize that many of them suffered damage to their personal homes as a result of the storm. Veteran firefighters described the June 16 shift as one of the worst they had ever experienced. They worked 4 house fires, one in heat so intense that it sent 4 firefighters briefly to the hospital to be treated for heat exhaustion. Our 9/11 dispatchers received more than 5,500 calls for fire and police during the weekend, with most of these coming in the early Friday morning hours just after the storm had blown through. There were more than 1,100 weather-related dispatch events, which included several instances of helping residents trapped in their homes by falling trees. At one point on that Friday, every available fire unit was on a call. Many police units had to be sent to direct traffic while trees and wires were being removed from the travel lanes. All of this while regular calls for service continued. Public Works spent the first day or two of the evening getting trees out of the streets. Their crews worked almost 250 locations during that time. Many employees worked parts of that Saturday and the Monday holiday, beginning the process of picking up the debris. They have made the most progress so far in the MLK area and in Broadmoor. Solid waste crews will mostly be picking up their regular garbage routes this week, but our bulk collection crews will be working on storm debris in several areas, generally on the same days that garbage is collected on those days. SPAR facilities and parks sustained significant damage with over 50 trees down and others damaged to the extent they will need to be removed. The Querbees Golf Course was hardest hit with at least 30 trees on the ground. SPAR has already begun the process of removing these trees with the help of a debris removal contractor hired just for that purpose. Tree damage in many park areas is still to be addressed, with the worst along the Fant Parkway and at AC Steer Park, Ford Park, the Cross Lake Boat Launch, the Duck Pond, and Betty Virginia Park. There are also trees down on the grounds of the Fire and Police Academy yet to be addressed. SPAR is obtaining a contractor to work these in other park areas. We were able to use several of our SPAR recreation centers as cooling sites while continuing our regular programming there. These were well received, especially by parents who could get cool and watch their children have fun at the same time. The city's pools and spray parks remain open. The city will maintain these centers as cooling centers through Sunday, at least, in the wake of this heat wave. Water and sewer crews worked around the clock. Most of you wouldn't have seen this, but water and sewer crews worked around the clock to maintain water and sewer service. 45 of the city's 132 lift stations were without power at some point during the storm and its aftermath. Regional Airport was out of service on Friday due to a lack of power to run the gates and screening areas. Airport staff was able to get some gates working with only limited power in the main part of the terminal. Full service was restored by the end of Saturday. Sportran service was interrupted for one day and one day only until power could be restored to its refueling facilities. So where do we go from here? It is clear that we cannot remove all the storm debris in a reasonable time just with city crews. Our plan is to hire one or more contractors with experience in collecting large quantities of storm debris quickly. We issued an RFP for this service last Friday and will receive proposals this Thursday. We will select contractors on Friday, and then we'll do everything possible to get a contract signed quickly and the work started. We must follow the correct processes to obtain reimbursement for 75% of the cost from the state. Our estimate of costs so far is over $2 million. Any contractor will be required to make one pass through the city in the first weeks and either one or two passes after that to pick up all the debris. We will keep everyone informed about when this work will start. We know that everyone wants the trees out of their yards today, but we ask that you be patient. The cavalry is coming. The bottom line, this was a sudden storm with an unprecedented impact on our city. I am proud of the response of our employees, not just what they did, but the spirit with which they did it. Our citizens needed us to be at our best, and our employees were at their best. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Kudos to our employees.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have any other questions for Mr. Green for property standards? There will not be, anyone for Mr. Green? Thank you, Mr. Green. There will not be any, not be a master plan committee report. And again, our condolences go out to Mr. Alan Clark, the passing of his wife. Just like for us to pause just for a minute as to lending prayer to that family and Mr. Clark. Amen. Everyone should have received the budget to their financial report. Public hearings, there are none. Madam Clerk, would there be any legislation added today?
No, sir.
Thank you. Today we will have public comments only on agenda items, but today we will make history. We have no public comments. We do? You have one.
Sammy Mears.
Oh, Sammy, I'm sorry. Sammy. Oh, Lord,
Tell
Sammy.
them, Sammy, don't play.
Sammy, I'm sorry, we was about to make history.
Sammy is always
Well, Sammy,
history.
listen, you're gonna make history because we only have one and you are the one.
Who are you? Who are you? And I got 2 new flag pins.
All right, Sammy.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, apartment M110, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. I'm speaking today on resolutions 9A91 and 9A81. I think this is a great idea to congratulate Sahil Thora for winning and becoming the 2023 Northwest Louisiana Spelling Bee Regional Champion. I ask that you vote yes on this today, and it's very important. I also am speaking on 9A81. This is also a great idea, dedicating the 700 block of Gibson Drive in honor of Annie Mae Walter. Please vote yes on that as well. And even though this is not on, I am still saving money for helping MDA. And if you can help me today before I have to leave, let me know. It would be appreciated. And because of the power outage, I had a little bit of words with my electricity because 4 times I had to set the clocks back to the rightful place and reboot the television. Then I told the lights individually, if you want a fat lip, you're getting warm. And then I told the TV, I said, and you, Mary, what's it like being you?
Thank you, Sam. Also, before we go any further, we'd like to just say congratulations to the LSU baseball team. They are the world champions. So,
Oh, Tigers.
very impressive. I believe Mr. Johnson is here now, Councilwoman Taylor. Is Mr. Johnson here?
Mr. Johnson.
Come on up, Mr. Johnson.
Madam Clerk, will you please read the resolution?
A resolution to recognize Tyron Ty Johnson and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Whereas Tyron Ty Johnson, a Shreveport native and graduate of Calvary Baptist Academy, appeared in the Netflix show Cheer. And whereas Ty's career in cheer started at Louisiana Rebel All-Star Shreveport and continued at Navarro College from 2020 to 2022. He currently attends Western Kentucky University in his second year as a cheerleader. And whereas he has participated on teams such as the California All-Star SMOED, Navarro Cheer Athletics Wildcats, Swoosh Cats, and Team USA. And whereas Team USA competed against 9 countries on April the 18th through 19th in the World's competition at the ESPN Center in Orlando, Florida, bringing home a gold medal with a chance to represent the United States in the 2024 Olympics. And whereas Ty received numerous awards during his cheer career, including D1 Football Athlete of the Week, 3-time National Cheerleaders Association champion, NCAA Graduate Collegiate and World Champion, and 3-time Infinity Legend Hall of Fame. And whereas after being a part of the U.S. National Cheer Team, Ty said, quote, "I am honored to be around the best athletes in the country with the best coaches. It means a lot to be able to represent cheerleading at the highest level possible and to show younger kids no dream is too big or too small to achieve," end quote. And whereas Ty plans to open a cheer gym in Shreveport once he graduates in 2025. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the City Council would like to recognize Tyron Ty Johnson and his many accomplishments. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be executed in duplicate originals with the original presented to Tyron Johnson and the other resolution filed in perpetuity in the office of the Clerk of Council for the City of Shreveport. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you have more to say.
The shy cheerleader.
Well, I didn't write anything or come prepared with anything, but I just wanted to say, coming from Shreveport, it's not those big cities like Dallas and where I'm usually going. I just came back from Oregon this morning. So being able to go outside of Louisiana, outside of Shreveport, that's just a blessing by itself. My mom, she's my number one supporter, and my sister, she's my number one supporter. And if it wasn't for them two, I would still be here in Shreveport, Louisiana, which I love being here. I love being here, but I know I need to get out sometimes because it's not the best place to be at most times. So just with me wanting to open up a gym, I want to come back and be able to teach some of the kids that I know that are very talented and to branch out and let them know that they are able to not just stay in Shreveport. They should branch out and reach out to whoever and make connections outside of just Louisiana. So I appreciate all of you, and thank you again.
Thank you so much for representing the City of Shreveport.
All right, Ty. Certainly, Ty, hold on just a minute. We're going to come down and take a picture. But congratulations. I'd just like to know what those rings are about.
So this first ring is actually one of my favorite rings. We won this one with Navarro Cheer in 2022. It's our grand year, so we got the highest score of the whole competition. So this ring actually, the top of it comes off, and then I can flip the sides of it. So this is one of my favorite rings, and then we can do this one. And then I have 2 more rings, and then I have also more rings. These are my all-star rings. I'm still waiting on my USA ring to come in. We just won that competition, so they're in the process of making our rings. So my goal is to have all 10 hands, and then I'll be done. But I don't know if my body can hold up that long.
So. Ty, appreciate it. Listen, I missed out on my all-star opportunity, so when I come down, just let me try the ring on.
I got you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It weighs about as much as he does.
RJ, don't play
y'all want to get in? Come on. Come on.
I'll get on this side.
I can't find.
Get the ring off. I
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before we move on, Chief Smith? Chief, I know that over the weekend, y'all lost a member of your department, and I think I'd be remiss not to mention him and his handler, if you'd like to say something about that.
Absolutely. This past weekend, and to give you a little history, our K-9 partners are some of our most valuable tools. It's very, very personal to me because I can recall when the city of Shreveport took possession of the first K-9, and it was following an officer that had gotten killed at the Kon-Tiki restaurant on Uri Drive. We got a call of a silent alarm, and when officers went in and began to search the restaurant, the burglar was hiding in the restroom, and when the officer went in and commenced doing the search, the would-be burglar shot the officer and killed him. Well, not long after that, the citizens of this community came together, and the first K-9 partner was purchased for the police department to use for building searches. And since then, a K-9 support group had been formed, and we had put it in our budget and built our K-9 corps up to about 10 or 11 K-9s partnered with an officer where they were available 24/7. And I just cannot number the amount of lives that have been saved, peoples that have been saved because of our K-9 partners, just an unreplaceable resource. But anyway, this past weekend, officers had began to pursue a stolen vehicle, and the vehicle pursuit led into a neighborhood, and the car thieves jumped out the car and abandoned the car, and the K-9 officers were called and began the search, and K-9 Harry, 7-year veteran of our department, commenced the search and got on the track of the would-be auto thieves, and he collapsed, succumbed to heat. So he died of a heat-related injury. They rushed him to the vet immediately after he collapsed, but it was too late. So we're encouraging everybody to join us Friday at 10 a.m. at the Shreveport Police Academy. We have a memorial site on our grounds where we lay to rest our K-9 partners for memorial ceremony, laying K-9 Harry to rest. And it's just so amazing over the course of time how things happen. When we first acquired K-9 Harry, he was quite aggressive, and there was conversation about him not, wasn't going to be able to be made police partner. And over the course of time, putting him with the right trainer and with the right officer, he became the very best that we had. So we want to memorialize him Friday, and anybody that will, please join us at 10 o'clock while we lay him to rest.
Chief, my condolences to
Yes.
you, the department, and to Sergeant Hammer
Yes.
for the loss of his partner. And
Thank
I'd like
you.
for us to have a moment of silence to
Yes, sir.
remember the Shreveport Police Department and Officer Harry and Sergeant Hammer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes,
Chief,
sir.
I cannot express the sorrow that I had when I found out about it. Matter of fact, I was in communication with Jeff shortly after the incident occurred. And you're absolutely correct, is that these are partners of ours
Yes.
in law enforcement. They're just not dogs, they're just not pets. They become integrated into the family unit
Yes.
of the handler, and they are the best of the best that we hire. And I appreciate you and chiefs that have gone before you that have seen the need after Officer Davidson's tragedy at the
Yes.
Kontiki. Many of us do remember that. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all in all, you know, these are, you know, having that experience of having a K-9 respond to a situation, you know, where I was personally involved in lifting a dog in the attic to search for a suspect. There are so many things that these partners of ours do on a day-to-day basis that we have no clue, you know, of the agility and the sacrifice that they make. And I do appreciate each and every one of our K-9 supervisors, officers, and the K-9s themselves for their service to our community, to keep our community safe. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
service as well.
And thank you for
that.
keeping Sergeant Hammer in your thoughts and prayers. Losing a partner is compatible to losing a family member, because these partners live in the house with the trainer. That's their friend. That is their family members, and he was taking things pretty hard. And over the course of time, we will be able to, you know, secure another K-9, but there's nothing like the one who lives with you, eats with you, breathes with you. They sleep when you sleep. They become an extension of you. This was a Belgian Malinois is what he was. All right?
Thank
Any
you,
other
Chief.
questions?
Thank you, Chief.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Today, we will have executive appointments. The clerk will read them off one by one at this time.
First, we have for Assistant City Attorney, Zelda Tucker.
A motion by the chair to postpone.
Second.
Second by Councilman Jackson. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
why are we postponing this one, just out of curiosity before I vote?
Not comfortable with what I know about it at this particular time.
We can't hear the answer.
Okay. So,
Okay.
nothing else, push the button.
Oh, wait. Pretty good.
Quick move. Quick move.
Jackson second.
Passes with 6.
All right.
From the Department of Water and Sewer, Deputy Director Brandon Sneed.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Butcher. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
That passes with 7.
For the position of Superintendent of Field Operations, Kedrick Chisholm.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
That passes with 7.
The Local Workforce Development Board, Katrina Early, Reginald D. Wells, Sandy M. Semino, Curtis L. Shepherd, Anita Crafts, Kiana Thomas Walker, and Lonnie McCray.
Motion by the, moved by the chair.
Second.
Second by Councilman Butcher. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Yeah, we're on the wrong, looks like we're on the wrong thing, It's showing to be Zelda's.
See that far.
It's all under one.
Oh, okay, I got you.
It passes with 7.
Thank you.
That concludes
Thank you.
informations.
There are no items on the consent agenda for introduction or to be adopted today. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with regular agenda legislation?
Resolution 166 of 2021, a resolution in support of and establishing a tax increment financing TIF district, a proposed public improvement district wholly within the city limits of the city of Shreveport, and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
And that is to be postponed until. Motion to postpone.
So moved.
Councilman Thompson?
It's not moved. Motion passes for 6.
Resolution 81, dedicating the 7600 block of Gibson Drive in honor of Annie Mae Walter.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman Jackson, second by Councilwoman Taylor. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes for 6.
Resolution 88, declaring certain city of Shreveport, Louisiana supplies, materials, and equipment, specifically vehicles, to be surplus and to authorize the purchasing agent or her designee to sell and dispose of said surplus property by public auction.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes for 7.
Resolution 89, approving an annual payment in lieu of tax in accordance with the term sheet issued by the Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority to Hollis Creek PVI LLC.
Moved by the chair,
Second.
second by Councilman Butcher. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes for 7.
Resolution 90, to recognize Tyron Ty Johnson.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes for 7.
Resolution 91, to congratulate Sahil Thorat on being the 2023 Northwest Louisiana Spelling Bee Regional Champion.
So move for approval.
Moved by Councilman Talaferro, second by Councilman Butcher. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Oh, yeah, I got to do that. Such a dunce.
Councilman Green?
Green.
I just got it.
Motion passes with 7.
Resolution 92, to allocate additional funds to a specific not-for-profit organization from funds budgeted and other charges in the 2023 Riverfront Development Special Revenue Fund to address the needs of those citizens impacted by the severe storm. And a motion to postpone is needed until Ordinance 65 is adopted.
Motion to postpone.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman to postpone. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Councilman Brooks? Councilman Brooks?
My screen's not up. Yes.
Okay.
Motion passes with 7.
Ordinance 93, urging and requesting the Louisiana Congressional Delegation to make requests for a presidential disaster declaration and support a supplemental disaster appropriation in connection with damaging recent storms in Caddo Parish.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilman Talaferro. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Passes with a 7-0 vote.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you proceed with introduction of ordinance not to be adopted prior to July 11, 2023?
Ordinance 65, amending the 2023 budget for the Riverfront Development Special Revenue Fund. Ordinance 66, amending the 2023 general fund budget. Ordinance 67, closing and abandoning Brock Street from Westport Avenue to West 70th Street in Clark subdivision in Section 23 T17N-R15W. Ordinance 68 to amend Section 94-119 of the Code of Ordinances by removing the effluent discharge limits for antimony. Ordinance 69, an ordinance to amend various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of adding provisions to allow for the extension of a special exception use approval. And Ordinance 70, zoning case number 23-74-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located at the southeast corner of Piermont Road and Southern Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, C1- neighborhoods, commercial zoning district to C-2 corridor commercial zoning district.
So moved to introduce.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor. Second by Councilman Jackson. Those items have been introduced unless there are some questions or comments. Seeing there's none, Madam Clerk, would you proceed with ordinance on second reading and final passage?
Ordinance 60, amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2023 Capital Projects Fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized herein.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes with 7.
Ordinance 61, amending the 2023 Airport Enterprise Fund budget.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes with 7.
Ordinance 62, amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2023 Capital Projects Fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized herein.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes with 7.
Ordinance 63, amending the 2023 budget for the general fund.
Moved by Councilman Jackson,
Mr. Chairman,
second by Councilwoman Bowman. Question by Councilman Brooks.
yes, sir. Is this pertaining to the Sportran? Or is that the next one?
That's the next one. Oh, both.
I think they're both together.
They are.
I'd like to call up Jimmy Thomas from Sportran, please. Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas.
Good afternoon.
So this bus stop is in the 200 block of Texas Street.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Would you kind of explain the reasoning how it ended up there?
All bus stops are placed because they have bus stop standards. And bus stop standards are in place so that we can make certain that we put bus stops and shelters in places that require them according to our ridership.
Okay, and this was done in conjunction with the state and the federal government?
Absolutely. What happens is before we can place a bus stop somewhere, we have to have public input. So we have a series of public meetings and public information committees, and we reach out to the public to receive input from everyone before we place the bus stop or the shelter along the rights of way.
And what would be the reasoning for moving this bus stop 15 feet?
There was a complaint that was lodged that asked that the bus stop be moved. So that is why the request has been made.
Okay. But there is, other than the complaint, I'm assuming from a business,
Yes, sir.
there's no reason to move the bus stop?
No, sir.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming up, and so what was the complaint lodged?
The complaint was lodged that it was impeding business. It was impeding business at that location. So they asked that the bus stop be moved.
And so did you go out and, did you do a little research as far as how was it, did they say how it was impeding the flow of,
There
was
were
it
no
the flow of
specifics.
business or entry, exit, or I'm not sure?
There were no specifics on how it was impeding business. However, prior to the bus stops being located, there were public information sessions that were available, and everyone who had a vested interest in where those bus stops would be had an opportunity to speak out about those locations, because as we know, Texas Street is a state right-of-way, and before we can place those
those bus stops there, we had to go through a checklist to make certain that we checked all the boxes before we placed any stop anywhere. And before we did that, every stop was prepared for the slabs to be poured and the shelters to be installed.
And who's going to remove this?
We have a crew in place that will.
So it will be
yes,
Sportran?
Yes, sir.
And who will pay for it? The city?
Yes,
move
sir. That's my understanding. Yes, sir.
So this is really on us. This conversation, if you're not aware, was started with the previous council. The meetings you're talking about, the owners in that area stated they did not want that bus stop there. It was
Yes, sir.
agreed upon that it wasn't going to be put there. That funding was supposed to be allocated with that agreement in order for it not to go based on the federal and state initial recommendation, and that funding was never approved, and so that's kind of where the ball was dropped. But the emails dated back to the previous council, so we're just kind of cleaning up something that should have never have happened. It wasn't supposed to be placed there based on those meetings and those conversations, and
Yes,
there's
sir.
emails that back that up. So I just
Yes.
kind of want to clarify that.
Well, Councilman Jackson, 200 block of Texas Street is in District B, so this is the first I've heard of it. I'm
Like
not
I
aware
said,
of
this
anything.
is with the previous council. So former Councilwoman Lavette Fuller was a part of that, and Councilman Bowman was a part of that. So this is dating back before you became on council. And then for the record, no council members had any recommendation on whether bus stops were being placed. So this wasn't something like councils was saying, I want this in this area for my district. This wasn't about council and districts. This was simply about those business owners that didn't want it directly in front. So that's kind of probably why you weren't caught in the loop.
So, Mr. Thomas, where are we proposing moving it?
15 feet west.
15 feet?
Yes, sir.
And if I may?
Yeah.
Count. So if, in moving it 15 feet, where does it end up? In front of?
It's still in close proximity to the entrance to that.
So is it going to
location.
end up in front of another business?
Yes, sir.
And so what if that business wants the bus stop moved? They have to go through that same process that the previous council?
Yes, sir. And
I just don't want to get into I don't want to get into, I don't want to set a precedence that we're start moving bus stops because of, I feel that, I mean, I guess I can file a complaint, as a business owner, but help me understand that.
Yes, sir.
That precedent's kind of already set, because this is not the first bus stop to be moved. Several others have been moved already.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mr. Chair?
Okay.
Yes.
Real quick. Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you for coming and talking to us and kind of shedding some light on this. So when y'all had these meetings, and I was on the council previously, I don't recall these meetings, but I don't really have any bus stops in District D anyway, except for a couple. So, did this business owner specifically speak out against this at that point?
To my direct knowledge, there was no objection. We do have records from every public information session that we did host, and we can absolutely have those records checked to go and double check and verify whether or not any objection was made. However, to my direct knowledge right now, I do not believe that there was any objection by any of the building owners or any of the businesses that were in that area.
Okay. I just was curious about that, and I'm assuming that business owner was notified. What's your process of notifying these business owners of that, or the people that are going to be impacted by the bus stop, whether it's business, residential, whatever?
There's a public notice that must go out, I think 90 days prior to announce that the public information sessions will be made available. And once they are made available, we host them and we collect all the data from every public information session before we proceed with anything.
I think that Councilman Teleferro was correct. I think and if it's been done in the past, I don't recall it coming to us to vote in the last 5 years now for this. I can't recall it, and I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I can't recall us doing this in the last 5 years. My concern is if we move it now, the neighbor next door may not like it there, and we're gonna keep pushing the thing, and then why don't we just not have bus service on Texas Street completely? I mean, I'm concerned about that and the monetary cost to the city, because this originally was put out by a grant.
Yes.
And so now we're having to pay the $5,000, roughly $4,800 out of our pocket to move this. And I'm kind of scared. Do you think that that's going to, first question, Does Sport Trend think it needs to be moved? First question.
I would say, and we don't want to get in the business of encroaching on anyone else's lane.
Right.
However, we would like for everyone to think that transit has a value added. And if there's public transit available in your areas, then that's going to bring additional foot traffic to your areas, which will also bring additional revenue to your businesses. So having that access made available to people who otherwise wouldn't be able to be there, I think there's an added benefit there. So, and to my understanding, that business is only open in the evening time. So during the daytime, if there are areas that those pedestrians, that those people otherwise may need to get to during the day, I think we're restricting their access to that area if we move those bus stops. And also, I do believe that if we start this or we continue with this, we'll be going down a very, very slippery slope. And doing that, we'll be opening up Pandora's box to have everybody just arbitrarily say, well, I don't want to stop here, I don't want to stop here. And it'll end up hurting transit, which will end up hurting businesses, which will end up hurting our community as a whole.
I agree. And you answered my question. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome. Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes with 4.
Ordinance 64, amending the 2023 budget for contractual services provided to Sport Trend by Metro Management Associates.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilwoman Bowman. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes with 5.
An ordinance 59, zoning case number 23-60-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located at the southwest corner of East Kings Highway and Woodlawn Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, from C2 Corridor Commercial Zoning District to IC Institutional Campus Zoning District.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilman Talaferro, second by Councilman Butcher. Are there any questions or comments? If not, push the button.
Motion passes with 7.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there any table legislation to be removed from the table today?
No, sir, there isn't.
Thank you. We have no property standards or ABO appeals to consider today. We have no MPC or ZBA appeals to consider today. Are there any other appeals, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Are there any reports from officers, boards, and committees?
No, sir.
Madam Clerk, is there a clerk's report?
There isn't.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any additional comments?
Just some very brief comments.
Yes, sir.
We're in the fireworks season, and so I wanted to remind citizens first to be very careful, and also fireworks are permitted within the city limits. Consumer fireworks are permitted from noon on July 1st until 10 p.m. on July 5th, and they are prohibited between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. Between 10 p.m. and 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., no fireworks. So I just wanted to remind citizens also to be extra careful this year because we do have a lot of debris on the streets. And that's, I have consulted with the fire chief. We do not feel that a ban is appropriate at this point.
That was my next question.
Thank you. Does any council members have any additional communications? Executive sessions, we have none. If there is nothing else to come before this body, this meeting is adjourned.